YouTube has changed. It's no longer about the creators, the unique minds of the people, or their passions. It's an endless series of changes brought about by corporate greed and competition. YouTube and its consumption of content has become a well-oiled machine. YouTube has changed. Sponsored content creators carry sponsored equipment and wear sponsored gear. Protocols and policies in place put shackles on the creators that have built the site and what it is today. Monetization control, information control, total control. Everything is monitored and kept under control. YouTube has changed. The age of creation has become an age of control, all in the name of diverting cash flow into their pockets. And he who controls the medium controls the history of user-generated content. YouTube has changed. When the method is under total control, demonetization of ad-friendly content becomes routine.
This episode, we'll be discussing a man who needs no introduction, but we're still gonna give him one anyways. Right? Right? Scott? Scott, are we still rolling that script?
Just read the fucking lines, VG.
Well, don't blame me, you asshat. There's been like 30 revisions.
No one needs to know that. Just do your job. Jesus.
Well, I think they have a right to know why it took so long for this episode to come out. We'll be talking about a man who's getting an introduction because it's my show, Scott. Here he is, the man who makes the impossible possible, the legendary mercenary, Solid Snake. Glad to have you here. You do know what we do on the show, right?
From what I've seen so far, you like making people uncomfortable.
Well, maybe. But on this show, we compare video game characters, such as yourself, with their real-life inspiration.
This should be a short episode then. I'm human after all, not a fire-breathing dragon or nuclear-equipped walking battle tank.
Actually, I'm glad you pointed that out. This episode's going to shed some light on some misconceptions about you that some people may have, as well as dive into some of the other possibly lesser-known facts about your character. Normally, we'd try to see if you match up, but in your case, I mean, that's kind of next to impossible.
I don't see why you needed me here to do this.
Well, who knows you better than yourself?
Fine, but only because I owe you. You saved my ass back then.
I appreciate it. And anytime, you know my frequency. For anyone who doesn't know, Snake has an IQ of 180. This puts him above, say, I don't know, Stephen Hawking, whose IQ is around 160, and somewhere in or around Albert Einstein, who's at 160 to 190. He's also fluent in 6 different languages and was inducted into the Green Berets before he was in his 20s. Of course, it wouldn't be long before he was taken in by Foxhound, got tired of that mess, and attempted to retire.
Never seems to work out for me.
I could go on about his backstory, but that seems like something that could be an episode in and of itself. So let's take a look at the inspiration that was used to make Snake, Snake. Series creator Hideo Kojima has said that Snake is inspired by Snake Plissken from John Carpenter's Escape from New York. And, I think that pretty much sums that up.
Not so fast. March 6, 2014. Kojima tweeted about the reason why he chose Snake as my codename. It was, in his words, the most appropriate symbol of a living thing that hides its presence. Solid was added to make it sound stronger. This also set up the liquid opposition.
Oh, and here, it says you were modeled after Jean-Claude Van Damme, and your face drew inspiration from Christopher Walken. Another instance that supports that is this little bit here. Snake is the character in the game, but really Snake is you. Kojima went on to describe his respect for Carpenter as a director and his appreciation of the Russell film and character, but said Snake as a character has his roots in the 2D game. He was a pretty ambiguous character and didn't have much personality. We wanted to play with that, so that's how he developed. Seems like the only thing you and Escape from New York have in common are the names and that eye patch you pick up later.
Well, it's no surprise that Hideo loves movies. In fact, the Metal Gear Solid series was intended to allow the player to experience a movie.
Early renditions of Snake's design, let's start with the NES, had a pretty cliche anime thing going on in the manual. Reminded me of Akira a lot. But more interesting is that the box and the cartridge did not share the same design. Instead, it was a hand-drawn screenshot of Kyle Reese in the 1984 film The Terminator. He would later resemble Mel Gibson in Metal Gear 2: Solid Snake. The name David is chock full of references, pulling from 2001: A Space Odyssey's David Bowman and Policenaut's David Forrest. The name David is also of Hebrew origin and is most definitely a nod to the story of David and Goliath, in which the second king of Israel goes up against a giant Philistine enemy, much like how Snake squares off against Rex. David Hayter, the voice actor for Snake, also shares the same name. Was that
not intentional?
Well, Snake didn't get his iconic look from nowhere. It all came from the mind of Yoji Shinkawa. While developing art for the game, he was trying to steer away from the typical Japanese manga/anime style. Not that he was trying to cater to Western audiences though, he just wanted something that would be easy for him to draw. Seriously, that's what he said. But no artist is without someone that inspired him, and he was inspired by a wide variety of individuals. Yoshitaka Amano, famous for the Final Fantasy concept work. Hikozu Ito from the early Showa era. Frank Miller, Denki Milano, and Jean Giraud.
He was also given a lot of freedom. Some designs hit the mark, while others didn't, and they went back and forth on them for a while. Kojima asked Shinkawa to create an older, hard-boiled dandy character, but he replied saying that it was better to have a younger character, putting my age at 30 during the Shadow Moses operation.
If Shinkawa didn't object to that, we might have had an old Snake-like character from the beginning. He said it was like creating characters for a movie or novel rather than a game, which really shows in the way that the characters present themselves. In summary, while Snake's name was inspired by John Carpenter's Escape from New York, Snake as a character wasn't based off him at all. Instead, he wanted to create something brand new when he went to make on the Solid series. Actors like Jean-Claude Van Damme and Christopher Walken would be used as the inspiration for the new design of Snake, but overall, he just wanted to make something new that the player could relate to. Infamously, this translates into Snake's constant questioning, as the player is often wondering the same thing.
Launch, PAL, remains, cell specimens, strengthened, Metal Gear, Revolution, Rex. There are 2 passwords. Baker, you talked. Psycho Mantis, 2nd floor basement. Wolf? Sniper Wolf? I didn't know that. Yeah, what did you say? She lied. Baker's files. Got past security, mean it won't show up on radar. They ran a computer. Bots die. Arrest. Ace in the hole. Diversion. Bots die. There's a vaccine created. Super baby. Octuplets. Genome soldier. Sacrifice. Torture. Arrest. Acting alone. Snake, answer me. Snake?